The Tomb, of course, is going to be out here as well. And Yard Team got the first ban. Does that mean that they actually get the first pick then?
Your guess is as good as mine, Forecourt. I have no idea, but we'll have to see here in a second.
Well, there goes Blackheart's Bay. Not a surprise, which means we're either going to be returning to Sky Temple or we're going to be going to Cursed Hollow. And it really is a big mix-up. Those are definitely two of the more solid competitive maps. We had our doubts about the Sky Temple early, and it looks like Complexity still do, because it will not be Sky Temple. It will be to the good old-fashioned Cursed Hollow.
Yeah, indeed. Cursed Hollow being probably the most played map in Heroes of the Storm, especially in the competitive scene. Very, very standard go-to map. And we have two very veteran teams on this map, so we're definitely going to have a good game here, I feel.
All right, so the clash of EU and NA is underway. Will be Complexity with that first ban potential. And, we do really have different styles when it comes to this. I mean, here on NA, for example, Rhaegar would be a really good ban. Complexity could even go with that if they don't want to try to deal with an Illidan. But they got first picks. I don't really think that they'd have to go into that. Could be a Stitches. It could be, Sergeant Hammer is not really feeling like a ban these days. Could be a Jaina. There's definitely a little bit of options there. Yard Team, though, I suspect that they're just going to ban out Illidan.
Yeah, I mean, having first pick, Complexity could go for that Illidan. ER Team definitely has the option to disable that, but there are some other strong heroes that are first pick worthy as well. Jaina comes to mind. So actually a ban coming out onto Zagara from Complexity. And I feel this is kind of a map targeted ban, possibly a team targeted ban. They did see that that Zagara last game from Yard Team. So maybe trying to get Yard Team on heroes they're a bit less comfortable with. And now we have the ban on Jaina coming out from Yard Team. So now we'll have to see what Complexity first picks. I would have to imagine it's going to be Illidan.
Well, I was actually expecting Complexity to ban out the Jaina first off, but Zagara feels very, very regional banned. You said Matt, maybe team. In a region, I mean, Zagara has a huge first pick potential, especially in EU. You see it time and time again that they really do like her lane presence, the Maws, the Siege. I mean, in terms of, it used to be Sergeant Hammer, now it's all about the Zagara. But Complexity's not even going to go that way. They just say, all right, we're going to take our Vala. We are very, very confident on a Vala. Now, remember, there is going to be latency issues as well here. Just a little bit, just a teensy tiny bit. But as a Vala backliner, it's really hard to mess that up.
Yeah, indeed. Vala, a very, very strong pick. Don't get me wrong. It's a very, very good pick. I just really expected to see the Illidan to come out because he's just what I would consider probably in the top 2, top 3 best heroes in the game currently. And we actually have Tyrande Diablo coming out for Yard Team. So we definitely are going to have that charge into Overpower into Tyrande Lunar Flare combo available on the side of Yard Team.
Now, I wonder if that's going to lead us into a little bit of roaming. Sometimes we do see some roaming comps here from the Cursed Hollow, like a Stitches Tyrande, an Uther Tyrande, Jaina Tyrande, everybody Tyrande. It really does lead itself to a very viable roam, but we'll have to see what else Yard Team build up here. They could actually still feasibly go for that Illidan if Complexity doesn't take it here. They add a Tassadar. Now, they could go for the Rhaegar and see if it's going to be left on the board. They could go for the Uther here as well, just to secure that, the double heal mentality that we do like to run a lot in the NA side. But a Tassadar Vala, I mean, like, you're setting up a very generic comp so far from Complexity.
Yeah, indeed. A lot of wave clear on the side of Complexity, and so far, Yard Team kind of has a quote-unquote kill comp. They have that Tyrande Diablo for that roaming and ganking power. So Complexity is going to be kind of playing more of a passive rotational game, going for that wave clear, moving around the map, getting advantages like that. But now we do have that Illidan coming out. I feel that Complexity has a very, very strong draft at the moment, getting a ton of value out of that Vala first pick because they were now able to secure Illidan and Tassadar. And I feel that these are 3 of the best wave clear heroes in the game. So it's going to be a war of attrition versus kind of the war of ganking and picking people off.
Well, we'll have to see if the Rhaegar is going to come into play here from Yard Team. As we said a little bit before, it really is a big Malfurion preference, I feel, for a lot of these EU teams. They don't really seem to value Rhaegar quite as much as we do here. But once again, you are going to see the Tychus, and there's the Malfurion, as this is a very kind of repeat draft from Yard Team. As soon as they see the Illidan, they pick themselves up not only the Tychus, but the Malfurion. as well. And we saw that do really good work in the last game. But will your team be able to go as offensive as they did with their Tychus last round?
It's gonna definitely be up to Illidan if he's gonna be putting a lot of pressure on that Tychus or not, and I feel that he is. I feel like Complexity has a very, very strong draft at the moment, and I have to say that it's gonna be Uther ETC. Personally, I would have liked to see Uther on the side of Yard team.
Again.
Yeah, Uther has a really nice follow up to the Tyrande and Diablo combo. He can extend that stun duration even longer and allow you to secure a nice kill. And we do have that ETC coming out from Complexity. We'll have to see what their healer ends up being. I'd have to imagine it's Uther, but it's also possible that we can see a Rhaegar here.
Well, we saw the Rhaegar Illidan do some really good work from the True Team Fancy last round. They just were able to get secure some really early game kills. Unfortunately, that's about all that they were able to secure, would you believe? So, coming into this, having that Uther, that extra stun, I mean, now you can pile stuns upon stuns. You can add the Rain of Vengeance into that as well for some really extensive lockdown.
Yeah, indeed. And still waiting on Complexity's pick here. And it is going to be Uther, so definitely liking that pick from them. And I feel that Complexity has a very, very strong draft here. Your team's draft could have benefited a lot from the Jaina pick. So I'm actually kind of surprised that they banned out Jaina wanting to go for this kind of style. Jaina can be really devastating with their team comp, but we'll have to see what they opt for their final hero here.
Well, your team can't do the Zagara. We do still have a Sergeant Hammer out there. I fully suspect it will be a DPS. We're not really seeing a lot of the double heals. At least when I cast them, we don't get to see a lot of double heals from the EU side of guys. But they already got the Tyrande there as well. So if they need that shield or if they need the healing ward, we'll have to see at level 13 if she will go for a bit more of a stronger heal with the Blessing at that tier. But so, I fully do expect a damage dealer here to go with the Tychus. So who's left on the board? I mean, we got Vikings, but don't really get to see them a lot unless your name is Fnatic. The Falstead is still there for the global presence. The Nazebo, although he has been, hit pretty hard this meta.
I feel that I'm not sure if your team has a Vikings player, but I feel that Vikings are one of the most underrated heroes in the game right now. And yeah, they're up, but Sergeant Hammer is up. Maybe even Zeratul. I'm not sure if they have a Zeratul player, but there is some wombo possibilities with Zeratul, especially with that Diablo in there for the Apocalypse. But yeah, I'm really, really curious to see what they pick here. I'm not actually sure.
They got 30 seconds to figure it out, and it does look like the boys over at Heroes.com have actually made sure that we're not going to have those infinite timers once more. So kudos once again to the quick developers' response every time that they see something wrong. Almost guaranteed it's fixed by the time we get into another game. So big kudos to them over at Gosugamers. So, I mean, Yard Time, they could even surprise us and go melee. Zeratul's still on the board. He used to be huge in our last qualifiers. Now he has nary a thought.
And it's actually going to be Arthas. I kind of had a suspicion that it could be the double tank here.
What?
I kind of had the suspicion, but it actually is a pretty good synergy between Arthas and Tyrande. Arthas and Tyrande can burst a hero down in the crowd control combo like very, very fast. So we actually saw Complexity pick the Arthas up in a recent tournament in combination with a Tyrande pick, but the double warrior setup is pretty interesting. I have to imagine this is going to be a Tranquility game because Tranquility double healing ward with double warrior can be so potent, so very potent, keeping those high HP heroes alive. So I'm really interested to see how this game turns out.
So we're just taking a quick look here. I got to change around team names, but that will be our draft, ladies and gentlemen, as we're going to go into the game as quick as we can. We do got all the I can't call them Barrel Boys anymore. All the Complexity ready to go onto the Cursed Hollow. But we have comments right now from AD Of course, he just did some fantastic work in some previous tournaments. Apparently, Yard Team just has what's considered the worst picks EU. And their comp is definitely a little strange. I'll give them that.
Yeah, I definitely feel that CompLexity has the stronger comp here by a large margin. Like, the Jaina pick is a little bit, or sorry, the Jaina ban is a little bit perplexing to me, especially if you're trying to run that that kind of burst CC gank style. I feel that Jaina just excels at that, and even the Malfurion pick is a little bit perplexing to me. If they wanted to go for this kind of style, Uther is very, very good. And not only could they have grabbed Uther for that kind of burst CC composition, but they also could have denied the Uther from CompLexity, which they want to use most likely for Divine Shield. Divine Shield, you know, being another form of cleanse, it really just allows Illidan to open up on the team unhindered. So
yeah, double cleanse, man. Whew. It's so good. Like, I've never seen this many shields in a meta right now. I mean, Uther with that redo has just gone far and above in terms of a big 180. It used to be storm or bust. Now it's almost shield or bust.
Indeed, indeed. It's really, really nice that he can go for either ultimate now. And I feel that he's at a very, very strong place, especially on a map like Cursed Hollow, where you can get to that level 20 and basically get a new form of resurgence, which is very, very potent.
Well, it looks like the game is about to start here, ladies and gentlemen. Cursed Hollow, Yard Team, and CompLexity. Drafts aside, it's looking good for a good old-fashioned EU and NA rivalry. Place your bets in chat, ladies and gentlemen, because we're loading in, and apparently I called both teams CompLexity. I don't know how I did that.
It happens to the best of us, my friend.
I just didn't save it. All right, there we go. Yard Team, it's going to be in red. CompLexity, blue. You're going to see a lot of USA names on the blue side of things.
Yeah, indeed, CompLexity taking after Tempo Storm and putting that USA tag, having that huge pride for their home country.
I mean, you're basically here representing the top NA at this point. I mean, well, I'd say the top tier. You know, not number one, but I would put them in a solid top 5 on the NA side of things. So, you know, congratulations, boys. You're here. You got to make it work now. It's going to be hard. Dimaga and crew coming off a fantastic victory in game number 1. They got to be feeling good, but these picks are really throwing us a loop. So I'm going to take the red-hand side and introduce Hydra here into the top. Turok, it's going to be Dimaga, Dez, and Gela here for Yard Team, as they're going to be looking to continue here and to enter the Storm Qualifier number 4.
Indeed, and on the left side of the map is the blue team. We have Urho on ETC, we have Kianda on Tassadar, McIntyre on Illidan, Trummel on Vala, and Blinks rounding it out on Uther.
I wonder who took Trummel USA, because that's not Trummel.
Well, actually, he just decided to go for that name because BattleNet tags aren't unique, so you can just have infinite amount of Trummel USAs. So.
Wow. All right, Erho showing me a little bit something new. ETC with Scouting Drone in the top lane.
Yeah, indeed, Scouting Drone getting buffed quite a bit in this patch, and I actually like this choice here from him. The block is the normal choice here, but they kind of have a bursty, tanky kind of setup, so there's not many auto attackers on the side of the VR team, so I kind of like this choice here, especially since the R team is going to rely on a lot of ganks here and roaming to secure kills and advantages.
Well, we theorized, you know, we could see the roams here from the Diablo, from the Tyrande. Dez is not actually going to get that hit. He does not connect, and then, of course, the Lunar Flare not connecting here either. But it does look like they are very intent on going back and forth. Arthas as a pickup now makes a little bit more sense to enable that. But in the long run, I mean, it's going to be the survivability up against CompLexity that's going to be put to the test.
Yeah, indeed. And a little bit out of the norm here for the normal lane matchups. We actually have Yard Team's Malfurion in top lane, but that is because that Yard Team wanted to run that kill lane, that triple tri-lane against CompLexity's, you know, kind of more standard tri-lane. They have that Diablo and Tyrande comp, but it just hasn't proven successful yet. They did get a nice combo onto Trummel, but he was able to be kept alive by Blinks' heals.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So far, it's just a little bit more passive early on because we're not really getting any of these catches. I mean, Damaga and Dez are roaming, but they're not getting a ton of it done. Level 4 is about to hit, and McIntyre is in position to pick up these quick early siege giants. And that's going to be, as soon as he gets 4, he's going to have the immolation. So until then, it's going to be a little bit harder, but there's the immolation. He's going to clean that up really, really quick. Nobody else actually going for an early Merc timing.
Nope. And your team is just content to kind of roam around. They actually checked for an early bruisers from CompLexity, but as we do see that McIntyre did go for the siege giants in the top, and now they are actually opting to take their own siege giants.
It's a little bit late because bam, like clockwork, we're gonna have, there we go. Wow, actually I guess it's not like clockwork. The tribute spawns at 248. Not entirely too sure what that was about, but it is going to be the bottom lane. So if we keep ETC up here, especially against the Malfurion, that's not exactly big wave clear potential right there. This could actually lead us into a tower at top, and that should jettison ahead for that EXP.
Yeah, indeed. ETC and Malfurion content to stay in the top lane for now, as we have our team actually being the one to aggress on the tribute first. And it looks like that CompLexity just wants to go for some interrupts here and some experience.
They're blocking Kionda very nicely, and that's actually going to not be an extended fight whatsoever down here.
Yeah, indeed. The composition of your team really just allows them to bully in there and zone that tribute immediately. So CompLexity wasn't really able to get too much experience gain in delaying that tribute. So very nice moves there by your team.
Yeah, now finally those stone giants, the siege giants into the top do go down. They didn't get as much done as maybe they were hoping, but hey, the damage was there, the pressure was there, they kept the Malfurion up, and you know, Kionda and crew just couldn't really keep that poke game going. All they really have is the Vala and the Tassadar in terms of some of the more consistent poke. You can get off a heal every now and then from the Uther, but past that, yeah, they're gonna have to try to, if they do want to do that, they're gonna have to try a little bit harder.
Yeah, indeed. The one defense I can make about CompLexity's comp is that it's a bit more late game focused. So your team is going to be wanting to use and abuse their early game strength as much as possible and gain advantages where they can.
The goddess calls.
And here comes the abuse as they can as well. Hydra doing a really good job zoning out Kionda and McIntyre into the top. It's not enough to quite stop those side storms. Trummel and Blinks just, as I said, trying to be a bit more consistent with their blocks going back and forth. Wow, Trummel, skin of his teeth, is going to vault right out of that stun. Would have been first blood, hands down. Kionda once more with the side storms, but there goes Hydra back to his position. That, I think Blinks might be able to get off one more hit, but wow, Trummel once more just going back into the fray. Knows that he only has the Diablo to deal with, and that will be that. Damaga and crew will actually put the second tribute into their pocket.
Yeah, indeed. Trummel actually getting in there and getting another interrupt. Pretty risky by him, but it ended up paying off, and Diablo was not able to pick him off there. And now we have the roam crew of your team moving up to the top lane. McIntyre and Urho kind of pushing that top of your team, but they're going to be able to back off in time here.
Now they do got McIntyre into the top. Urho will go back. So I mean, that's the rotations have always been really on point here from CompLexity. They know that they cannot afford any kind of abandonment in lanes for that soak. But this is a pretty big tribute because we're level 9 going into it. We're basically neck and neck, edging out a little bit here for Yard team in terms of the experience. But nobody from CompLexity is really making a move here. Are they just going to suffer the early curse and be done with it?
I think they're perfectly comfortable with doing that for Corchester. Their comp that they built is perfect at dealing with this early curse. They have that wave clear. They have good, like you said, good rotations coming out from CompLexity. And I feel that they're very comfortable being in this situation, even against very, very strong teams. So I'm not minding this from them, as your team was in good position to take that tribute, and they were ahead on experience. So if they decided to team fight there, the art team would have had their heroic abilities first, and that could have been a lot worse for Complexity. So really smart decision there by them to sacrifice that curse over to your team.
It is that shield coming out from the Uther. We do got the stage dive. That's why Erho went into the bottom lane, assumed that it was going to be, since the tribute was top, it was probably going to be pressure in these top 2 lanes. It looks like he gambled out very well in that regard. He's just doing the best that he can into the bottom. Gela is there, but nothing really big is going down between the two of them. Level 10s on both sides, 10 seconds left on the curse. Doesn't even look like we're going to have a fort on the back of it. When everybody is alive on these curses, sometimes it can be very hard to kind of progress inwards. They still will maintain their experience advantage from Yard team, but there goes the curse, and everything was basically just defended on point.
Yeah, and this is actually very good for Complexity because they have effectively reset Yard team's tribute count, and they're on an even game for the most part. So I feel that Yard team's comp really wasn't able to take advantage, get that early advantage like we talked about that they wanted to get, and we do have them aggressing here on Complexity's Grave Golem though.
Yeah, we had the Owl go in, so they know what's up. Here goes the Metamorphosis. Erho on the point. It's not enough. Dez wasn't on it. He's not going to be able to contest it whatsoever. Everyone has now come down into the bottom lane. You see the strafe from Trouble into the back. Lots of heals going from both sides, but the Metamorphosis has already been used, and I think Blinks is going to be the first blood, as he is the sacrifice here from USA. But, you know, Uther will still get off some of these heals. He's not quite as powerful in that ghost form as he used to be, but, I mean, we also got that Grave Golem and virtually uncontested. It's going to push down these towers. I doubt it'll get the keep. So 1 kill for the Grave Golem could have went a lot worse for Complexity, especially since they were the ones getting aggressed upon. But they're also now rotating up to the top because Turok is up there.
Indeed, it was a very dangerous situation for Complexity, and I feel that they're quite fine with losing Uther for that trade. They're able to pick up their Grave Golem, despite the fact it did end up getting contested at the last second. But as we did see, Diablo was not able to get on the point, and that was going to be a Grave Golem for Complexity. Although it did get cleaned up pretty fast, so they were unable to make a play onto Yar Team's Grave Golem.
Well, it doesn't look like a play is going to be quite it, at least yet. McIntyre with the perfect timing on top of his Siege Giants, though. He's going to be able to pick those up. And in terms of, like, a solo jungler, I mean, you can't really say no to an Illidan. I mean, Illidan is just going to clean him out and not really take any kind of big damage. And he's going to be pretty quick about it, too. So while he gets all those auto attacks off, bringing his Metamorphosis cooldown back down, Erho's going to be in the top. We do got some rotations now coming up, though. You can see Kionda and crew. They might be looking for an engage to defend this top fort.
Yeah, indeed, and they have to make sure that Yar team is not going to go for their Grave Golem, but it looks like both teams are opting to go for the tribute. But actually, now that I look at it, Yar team is positioning for their Grave Golem, so they're actually probably going to try to sneak a quick Golem here. Or no, they don't have vision on Urho, so they're just going to go for a Grave Golem here. We do have Urho hiding in that top lane, though.
Yeah, he's just soaking. And in terms of the experience, you've actually seen the lead chip away here from Yard team. We got level 13s from both sides, and everything looks, well, pretty much on point. You know, it's an old Arthas build that we have coming out here with the block, the destruction, and the rune tap. But with that golem, I mean, they're going to really try to push down this top with the 5-man.
Yeah, indeed. I feel that Complexity got a lot of value out of their decision here, though. I don't feel that the Grave Golem is really going to have a massive impact on this game here, because Complexity is actually able to grab this bottom fort here, as well as they stole the Siege Giants from Yar team's side of the map, so pretty reasonable trade for them, I would have to say. Not too game-breaking to give up that Grave Golem.
Yeah, so the Grave Golem top is going to pick up that fort. We're basically neck and neck with the experience here, as both regions are really catapulting into that level 16. But, you know, we also now have Shrink Ray here from the Uther at level 13. We got some big aggression coming out. Dez is going to be tanking out this mid fort, and Erho's not going to be able to really defend against this. The rest of the team is dealing with that Golem. They're going to let the towers actually finish it off. And Gela is actually going to pick up the free tributes. That's 1 tribute back into everybody's pocket. mid. Erho did actually go into this comp. He's looking for the rest of the team here to kind of clean up, and they're going to go for the body block now on top of Dez. Not exactly the best of targets. The Metamorphosis, however, does go down. McIntyre now actually on the retreat. First aid coming in. We got some heals. The Apocalypse lands on top of Flinks, but that's it. He uses the shield on himself, as he said, that second cleanse, and they just completely collapse on top of the Tychus. Stuns are not enough. There goes the Tyrande. Turok is now just getting super slowed, and he's gonna drop, and that is a 3-man, possibly 4, as we're looking now for Hydra. Kill count going for the boys from the US of A, and they're gonna go right into this fort as well.
Yeah, I have to give a lot of props to CompLexity and especially Urho here. A less experienced team would have let the Grave Golem pick up from Yar team, allow Yar team to secure that mid fort, but we saw Urho get in this position really early there, and he was able to start that fight and aggress Yar team off of their mid fort, that they were able to save that fort, and not only that, they also had a favorable fight for them. It was looking a little bit shaky at first. Blinks got caught out. They kind of had to kite back a little bit, but after the re-engage, it was a very, very clean fight for CompLexity.
Well, they didn't lose a single teammate, and they put their first 4 kills on the board. It took them 12 minutes, but we finally got 4 kills for them. This is going to be the second tribute now in their pog, which means they're threatening for Curse on the next spawn. They stole out the Bruisers. They're not going to quite be able to steal out this Grave Golem since it's still 2 minutes until spawn. But you can see already Demaga and Cruz saying, we got to go stop this next one, because they think it's going to be happening into this bottom lane. Or maybe actually they're going to go for these Bruisers, but they get scouted out regardless by Kionda. And wow, Urho, he's actually going to jump right into that stage up, but there's nobody from his team here. He dropped. He is out of there. The McIntyre goes in with that Metamorphosis. This is not the best of places for CompLexity to engage. They don't have some of those ults ready to go. It's a small, enclosed area. The Odie doing work. We had the Apocalypse, and that's the Tranquility there as well. Erho perhaps a little too trigger happy with that stage dive.
Yeah, indeed. That was a little bit over-aggressive from him, and it looks like that death on the side of CompLexity is going to cost them their Grave Golem here. But CompLexity moving towards the tribute, this would be a curse for them, and it looks like Yar team is going to actually have to give it up.
No Owl? Demaga Owl? Owl Demaga? No, he doesn't have Pierce anyways.
Yeah, nice. Link's already actually positioning himself to block that Owl, so nice little heads up play by him. But interesting trade here. CompLexity has the curse onto Yar team's base, but Yar team, due to that misengage from CompLexity, is able to pick up CompLexity's Grave Golem. So a little bit interesting of a trade here. CompLexity still ahead by a full level here, about. So, and Yar team also has to clean up some of the mercs in top from CompLexity. Their Siege Giant camp just getting cleaned up now, as CompLexity cleans up the Grave Golem of Yar team.
Yeah, the CompLexity really is kind of constrained to their movement. It might be their curse, but they're not exactly going to get a huge amount of pushing done because they do have to deal with this Grave Golem. Fortunately for them, I mean, it's really easy just to pick it off, and it doesn't even get to the gates, really. So it might be their curse. They did lose out the fight, and they lost out their Golem, but it still is their curse. They still do got a little bit of this map positioning going their way. It will actually put them favorable for the experience because now we aren't past that 16 tier. It's all about the 20. Well, for those Storm tier talents, and this is now immediately being turned into a Grave Golem here for Yard.
Yeah, indeed. It looks like CompLexity wanted to make a play onto Yard team's keep here. Maybe a little bit of miscommunication, but the wall is still up for the bottom keep. So they're not going to be able to just walk in and snag that keep as fast as they would have wanted to. They're only going to get a wall here for a Grave Golem, and I feel that trade was not too good for CompLexity.
Erho actually had, went and bothered Hydra a little bit, just trying to prevent the backs. If he was able to prevent possibly more, it might have actually led into some more aggression, but at the same time, Erho very likely would have died on a 5v1 scenario. I mean, he's a battle cow. He's not exactly a god. But as you said, I mean, this is not exactly the most favorable of positions because now CompLexity is once more constrained in their movement, and they're going to suffer some pretty hefty keep damage here.
Yeah, indeed. Our team was able to pick off the top keep wall of CompLexity earlier in the game, so they Complexity really has to respond to this Grave Golem, but so at the same time, this allows your team to grab this lower keep wall of Complexity in the bottom lane.
Yep, and the experience, like nobody's really keeping experience leads back and forth. We'll have to see after this fight. In goes that Metamorphosis. They're looking on top of Turok, and there goes the Tranquility. Now Crane does not have that Ice Block on that trigger finger. Kianda going to take a little bit of damage, but here comes a pretty good strafe from Not Trauma. It's leaving Dez there into the bag. Tychus was the target, and there goes the Tyrande as well. And like dominoes, everybody is falling from the Yard team, and the Yard team is dead and dusted once more. Level 20 achieved. After that team fight, Complexity is going to grab those Storm Tier towns and march right through this bottom lane. Could they end here, Mr. Nick?
I think they could possibly end here, and especially with that bottom keep wall being down, but at very minimum, they're going to be able to get a keep here. I feel like they might try to end, but it could be a little bit risky.
20 seconds on the Tychus, 24 there on the Tyrael, the Arthas, I don't know why it's the Tyrael. The Diablo is up, of course, with that 5-second passive, so he's been doing a little bit of defending there into the mid, just trying to mitigate that, but I just don't think that the timers are there. I mean, we had so many dismounts because of the creep wave. Kind of ready to cut down on the travel time, but we are going to pick up the Watchtower. It looks like Trummel's going to head home for some mana, and we might get an owl here. Here it comes, and Kianda blocks it with its face.
Yeah, nice block there by Kianda. Complexity definitely on top of the owl blocking on this map.
It has been fairly consistent. I mean, Tyrande was a major factor last meta, and now that they've shuffled around the talents, it's really hard to justify taking Pierce over Ranger's Mark, which is exactly what Tamaga has here. So they know that there's no Pierce, and they can easily block that out, and that takes a lot of power away from that pick on this map.
Yeah, indeed. Hunter's Mark proving itself to be one of the most powerful traits in the game, if not the most powerful trait. So getting that cooldown reduction at level 1 is so very important for Tyrande players nowadays, especially in this kind of bursty meta that we are experiencing. But now your team is at level 20, and both teams kind of posturing around. Both teams have all of their heroic abilities available, and both teams also have Siege Giants pushing both lanes, but Urho able to kind of help the push top with that global presence from Stage Dive.
Yeah, and that's why we do like to see Stage Dive more and more these days over the Mosh Pit. I mean, because it is such like a bursty CC meta, sometimes it's really hard to justify a Mosh against 2, 3, 4 stuns that can possibly just knock you out of it. So a lot of teams have really grown into the Stage Dive as initiation, as global presence. It's a big replacement to Brightwing's, big replacement to False Deads, which we don't really see nearly as much as we used to. So yeah, I really do think it's a huge pickup for teams with the EDC to get that global. And, you know, as you said, he's top. He's going to grab that tribute and immediately come down here because your team's looking for a fight.
Yeah, indeed. And you have the fight.
Yeah, it's actually, I was expecting them to stack up a little bit more than that, but the Metamorphosis is there, the Stage Dive as well. The Apocalypse doesn't, again, really seem to get a lot of value out of it, and Gela is the big target here. He's standing right next to that Malfarian, but even through the heals, the first aid, the Stone Skin, it is not enough. They traded out, however, for the Uther, so he's still going to be healing, whereas the Tychus is dead, and there goes the Tyrande as well. So 3 down on the side, 4 down now for the Yard team, and Dez once more is going to be the lone survivor for just a little bit. He does not have that 5-second respawn, and I think this time Complexity will be able to end out with timers numering almost a minute left for the Diablo.
Yeah, indeed. Complexity just drafting such a strong team fight composition that the R team just had no chance in that fight. Really, really good play from them in this game, and I really, really like their draft. I just don't like how your team picked their composition, but in a heads-up fight, Complexity just had it, and they're going to take this game.
Absolutely. So took 12 minutes to finally put some kills on the board, but Complexity, you know, they suffered some Grave Golems, but their team fighting with that Illidan comp definitely reigned supreme, and they're able to take that win, move on here into the quarterfinals of the